If you have an embroidery machine and you have to enter the parameters of a new hoop into your machine, this might just be the video for you. Now, I did a video recently where I showed how I added the parameters of a mighty hoop into my multi-needle machine. One of the things that I talked about just briefly in that video was the radius of the corners. So someone asked me, could you show us how you come up with the corner radius? That's exactly what I'm going to do today. Shortly after getting my multi-needle embroidery machine, I decided to invest in some mighty hoops. I had 3 before buying this one, and I got this one just recently. During this video, I'll show you how you come up with your parameters, and I'll show you how you put those in the system. Now notice that this says it is a 6.25 inch by 8.25 inch mighty hoop. Even though that's the dimensions of the inside, that is definitely not your stitching area. You have to leave a buffer or you're going to run into your hoop. Let me show you why. If you look at this needle from the front, you can see that the presser foot has a little circle that goes around it. That's to protect the needle. So that's going to take a little bit of space. That's one reason why you can't stitch all the way to the edge. Now let's look at it from the side. From the side view, you can see that there is a lot of presser foot between the needle and the top of the frame. When I measured it, it was at least 1/4 inch. So that's why I like to have a 1/2 inch buffer on all sides of the frame. So having seen that, I like to leave an inch buffer on both the width and the height. You can go to the website where you buy your mighty hoops, and they're going to have what they recommend for your machine on there. But what I have found is sometimes those are kind of wishy-washy. So I give myself an inch buffer going each way. So I'm going to have a 1/2 inch extra over here, up here, and down here. Let's go ahead and start taking some notes. So I'm going to do dimensions or parameters for my 6.25 by 8.25 inch frame. I'm going to use a stitchable area of 5.25 by 7.25. And now I need to convert that to millimeters because you're going to put millimeters into your system. You can do these conversions on your phone, your computer. If you know the old-fashioned math, you can even ask that lady in the box. Today, I'm going to do it on my computer. So I'm going to type convert inches to millimeters. And this handy dandy tool here comes up. So here where it says inches, I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And I'll put in 5.25. Remember, we're using the actual stitching area. That comes up to 133.35 millimeters. I'm going to just round down to 133. So let's add 133 to our notes. Now we're going to back over the 5.25 and we're going to do 7.25. And that gives us 184.15. Again, I'll round down. I'll put 184. So let's add 184 to our notes. There's 2 more things that I need to know when I put the parameters of this hoop into my Smartstitch machine. One of those is the corner radius, and one of those is the center point on your machine. Let's talk about the corner radius. Now, a lot of people say Mighty Hoops uses the number 25, but let me show you why in case you have a little bit different shaped hoop. To find the radius of your corner, you can just put your hoop down on a piece of paper. You can draw around the perimeter of the inside of it. After that, you're going to take either the bottom line or the top line, and you're going to extend it out. Now, let me turn this so I can see it better. I want to try to stay right on that line. Okay, that looks good. So let's go ahead and extend it this way, and we'll go that way. You don't have to extend it both ways. You'll see that in a minute, but I just tend to do that. Now we're going to extend one of the side lines. By focusing on this corner right here, we're going to find what that radius is. what I want to do is I want to try to figure out where this corner or where this rounded corner meets up with the squared off corner. So I'm going to look at this really carefully, and then I'm going to draw a mark to identify that. I'm going to do it on this side and this side just to check myself. They should be the same, but I'm just going to do it on both sides to check myself. Now we're going to measure from the mark to the corner, and then just to check myself, I'll also measure from the corner to this mark. Now look at my ruler. Notice there is extra space to the left of where 1 starts. So I'm not going to put the end of my ruler at the mark. I'm going to put the 1 inch mark or the 0 inch mark there. So we can see that it is right at about 1 inch from this mark to the corner. So let's just say 1 inch. This should be the same, but we're just going to do it to check myself. And that's right at 1 inch also. Now you are relying on yourself to mark these exactly where they meet. And there could be a little human error there. But we're going to go with 1 inch. So now we need to convert 1 inch to millimeters as well. This time let's just use the phone. So I can type in tool to convert inches to millimeters. And we get a similar type tool that came up on our computer. Now this one starts at 1 inch, so I see 1 inch converts to 25.4. We're just going to round to 25. So I'm going to put 25 for my corner radius. And I'm taking all these notes so that when I go to my machine, I don't have to do all this then. I already have it written down and I can just plug it in. Now the last thing we need to know is the center point on the machine, and I'll show you on the machine how I found that. Now remember, we have all the information that we need other than the center point written down on our little cheat sheet. To add a new frame, you're going to click right here on the frame icon. Next, we click on the select frame icon. Now there's 2 icons right here that look very similar, so you have to be careful with these. One has a plus sign and one has an X. So when you're adding a frame, you're going to click the one with the plus sign. If you ever want to delete one of your frames, you'll use the X. So we'll click on the one with the plus sign, and then it makes me enter my password. Now the password for all the 12 needle machines is the same, and I think they even made that the same password for some of the other machines. But when I got my password, I just put it on a label and attached it here, because you do have to enter that on occasion. I'll go ahead and enter that. And then that takes me to the screen where we enter our new parameters. Now for frame length and frame width, those are a little backwards to me. To me, I consider this to be the width, but they consider that to be the length. So we're going to go ahead and enter that larger number, which was 184. Then we'll hit the enter button. Now I need to enter what they consider to be the width, which I consider to be the height. And remember, that was 133 millimeters. I don't have to remember that though, because again, I have my cheat sheet. Lastly, for the frame radius, I'm going to enter 25. And you can see I have the shape of my frame right there. Now my machine came with the center point coordinates already determined, and I stick with those. We're going to add them right here. For the X coordinate, I'm going to put -157. And for the Y coordinate, I'm going to put -37. I now have everything I need in here to add this new hoop, so I'll click on the green check mark. I'll page down, and here it is. Now notice on these that I added a picture and some information. I did all that in Canva. I'll do the same to this, and so next time when I pull these up, I'll be able to identify it by the picture, as well as it'll say 6 1/4 by 8 1/4. If you're wondering how I found my center point, I just went to some of the hoops that were already pre-installed on my machine when I got it. So let's look at this number 12. I'll click on it. Then I'm going to go right down here to this icon, click on it, and it shows me everything that's entered for that. Notice it's showing the default as -157 by -37, and they're also entered down there. That's one of them that I looked at. Let's look at this number 1. I looked up frames or hoops that were similar to the ones that I'm using now, where you have just the brackets on the side and they're rectangle. This one also has a -157 for the X coordinate and -37 for the Y coordinate. I stayed with those. Now, I do honestly question whether they're exactly right. Let me show you why. I did a little experiment with my 5.5-inch mighty hoop. Now, even though this says it's a 5.5-inch mighty hoop, when you decrease the space on the sides, it really comes out to about a 4x4 hoop, or you have a 4x4 stitching area in this hoop, about 110 millimeters by 110 millimeters. So here's what I did. I drew a center line going down from the top as well as from side to side, so this should be the center of the hoop. I also made lines on this piece of paper, which is 110 by 110 millimeters. I put a hole in the center, and when I put this in the center, here's what it looks like. It looks like it's very centered. Then I put this on my machine, and I told the machine to drop a needle in the center of the hoop, and it dropped it down here. So it's a little bit down from where the center should be. If I center up my little template on that, you can see it gets much closer to the bottom than it does the top. Now, did they do that on purpose since you have a lot of that presser foot that sticks back this way? I don't know. That makes sense in one aspect, but it's not truly the center of your hoop. And a lot of the times we depend on putting something in the center of the hoop to have it stitch out correctly. So if you're watching this video and you have experience with this and you have an answer for me, I would love to hear your thoughts on it in the comment section below. So thank you so much for joining me today. I am so happy to have that hoop now on my machine so I can use it. If you were watching this video to try to learn something about adding the parameters of frames to your machine, I hope the video helped. If you are here to support out of curiosity or entertainment, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope to see you in my next video. If you have an embroidery machine and you need to enter the parameters of a new hoop, in a recent video, I showed how to add the parameters of a mighty hoop into my Smartstitch.